Welcome. This is Melinda Barlow, CZT, Certified Tangle Teacher. And today's lesson is a template, and I've decided I'm going to try to do what we call Template Tuesday. So every Tuesday you'll get a template idea that you can tangle, and we'll use some of the, maybe a new tangle, maybe some old tangles put together, but we will combine several tangles on Tuesday so that you get an idea of how to work with the templates. And then I'm asking for my great audience to give me some ideas on templates, topography templates that they are interested in doing. Today we are doing You Can't Blend In When You're Born to Stand Out. If I can get that. That's the one we're doing today. And I just need ideas for, something that you'd like to do. Maybe you've got a favorite saying you'd like to share with everyone, and I'll work it into a template, a typography template, and share it with our other viewers, and we'll work on it on Tuesday. So watch for Template Tuesday, and it should be lots of fun. I'm going on 2 years of doing tangles, and it's been a wild experience. I have had a lot of fun. So let's get started with this week's Tuesday template. Okay, we're going to get started. This is one I printed out on a gray paper. I use a cardstock, and I believe this one is a 65-pound. Yes, this one is a 65-pound weight, which works really well. Goes through my printer. And this one is on an 80-pound, and I like the texture on this one. When I blend, you'll see that this paper has a little bit of a texture of a canvas. So we're going to start out, and I'm going to do the same pattern I did. It's Cross Your Heart, because I think it's a really bold pattern, and that's what you want to do when you look at your template. You kind of want to think, what kind of pattern or tangle will go well with this saying? And you want something that you love that's really bold, and then you'll put maybe some that are less stand-outish or less bold. So we're going to start with our bold, our one we want out front first. And I'm just going to do a cross, because that's how Cross Your Heart starts. And I will scan in on this a little so you can see. And I made a cross, and then I just made a heart. And it really won't make a difference if your heart is perfect or not. My husband says he's always intrigued how when he does a pattern, it starts out so elementary looking, and then, oops, I got it upside down, and then when it gets going, it just ends up to be very, I can't think of the word, it'll come to me. So now we have our little hearts, and now we're going to do the bottom part of the heart coming out, so it's kind of a leaf shape out of each one of these spaces. So it goes from the bump on that heart, and I start there, come out, come back around. Go slowly. Don't want to go very fast. So now we're ready for our to do our lines that are going to go inside. So I'm just going to do striping. And I should tell you the story of how this particular template came to be, because it has a very unique story. A friend of mine's daughter, their youngest, had tonsillitis, and when she had her tonsils out, her immune system kind of was compromised a little, and she took some medicine that caused her to gain some weight. And being a young girl, there were mean girls in her school that caused her a lot of grief. And she had a really bad year. She's now doing fine, but she had a bad year. And her dad had bought her a unicorn poster. And she said, "Dad, I want that unicorn poster put up in my bedroom." And she had a tent, a privacy tent, kind of around her bed, because she shared her room with her older sister, and it just gave her some privacy. And when her dad pulled back the privacy curtain, he found this saying, along with a couple of others, that were scribbled on a poster put up on her wall. And he said, "All the talk we've tried to make sure that she knew she was beautiful and that she was an important person really must have stuck, because she had scribbled this in a child handwriting." And I will post that on my blog. When I post that, I'll post a picture of her handwriting. And it just warmed his heart to think that she would know that she was born to stand out, even though there are kids that can be mean. And so when he posted that, I thought I just needed to do a Tangle that I just needed that saying in my collection of art. I love to do Zentangle and frame it with sayings. I think that just really, oop, there comes some pencils rolling down in. And you notice that I started the tip and then I branch out, because I think if you think of that as a heart underneath there, it would, you know, you're kind of doing a holly bar effect there. And now we have all of that striping, so now we can go back in and fill in. And I fill in from the outside edge in. And I'm going to switch over to an 05 pen. This tip is a little broader, and for filling in it just goes a little faster. So I like to have that in my kit of pens. I like to have an 05 just for filling in. I think you get it's just easier for me, and the tip is broad and it just lays down ink fast. You notice I'm leaving a little area where I'm not filling in to give this Tangle a little sparkle. Come in so you can see the fill in. And the reason I start at one side is I want those outside edges to be dark. And if my striping hasn't come out exactly right, I can thicken up that last outside edge. But that one came out okay. So we're just going to keep going. I'm going to start on that outside edge. It just came to me that I'm going to put templates on Tuesdays when I post when we do Template Tuesday, that day all templates will be 50% off. You download those, but they will be 50% off on that day. So if you watch this video the day they come out, you can go to and get 50% off on all the templates that are in the store. This one again turned out right. But you can see what drama that, filling that in, how beautiful that looks. So when you pick a Tangle for this, you want one that stands out. You probably have in your mind maybe one that you love that is a real standout type Tangle. I have several, but this one just was one that I liked. And you notice that I make my little sparkles are never really round. They have a kind of a jagged edge, and I think that's how the light would have reflected off of it. So I like a little jagged edge on that sparkle. Oh, here we have one where we're going to come out not even. So I can show you what I do. So now I have a white one on the end. So I'm just going to come here and I'm going to add a little striping. Oops, forgot to fill that in. I got so in a hurry. And so I added a little outside edge, so that one had an outside edge. Looks like we're going to have that same thing here. So I'm just going to add a little line and then give that outside edge so it has dark. Now I do that on the same thing on all of these petals that I do out here. I'm going to start on the outside edge, and about my widest point is where I'm going to put my little sparkle. And there we have our main Tangle. Now make sure you put your cap on your 05. You don't want to use it here. And we're going to scan out a bit so you can see how that just really stands out. Now we're going to add some tangles behind. And on my one I did on gray, I did 1, 2, 3, but I think I'm going to do something a little. I think I'm going to do sand swirl. I like it. Starts out with that little circle like that, and then it just has echoes around it, or auras. And you can go around and you can put all your little sand swirl beginnings around your tangle. And then you're going to come back and fill them in, and that kind of gives that overlapping look. So I'm just going to go around and put that first step of my sand swirl in here. And I try to go both directions so that I have some coming both ways. So now I have my sand swirls, the beginning. I have to darken that up a little bit if it didn't darken up enough. And we can just keep going and we'll get sand swirls all around the outside edge of this. And I'm going to go ahead and show you what I do. I also add another, is you can add some little tentacles that come off. And add just that draws your eye down here, a little fescue that kind of draws your eye. I will finish this one. Oh, we can't stop here. We have to add a little shading. So I am going to shade with a warm gray pencil, because I don't want this to, I don't want it to smudge any. So I'm just going to put a little warm gray right down here in the tip of here with my Prisma pencil, color pencil, and then I'm going to take some odorless paint thinner in this little jar or a little pot. It has a sponge, so you can see. I'll put it right there. And I'm going to moisten that odorless paint thinner. And then I'm going to blend out the color pencil. And I'm going to add a little white. This was a cream color paper, so I'm going to add a little white to the top of here. It's just going to be very subtle, that we have a little bit more light in the top. But that's how I will shade this. I will also shade parts of my sand swirl, which I like to just put a little bit of graphite right there, or I like to use the color pencil and blend it out so you can see where I would shade that sand swirl. I will post this on my blog so you can see it finished look, but so much fun. There it is on the gray paper. So enjoy. Remember that on Tuesdays templates will be half price. You can purchase and download any of the Tangle, any of the typography or templates that are on the store for half price. Thanks for watching, and remember, you can't blend in when you're born to stand out. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel, share this with your friends, and tangle every day. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.